Okay, how they demonize immigrants. When they demonize immigrants online, they don't come out and just say a bunch of extremist stuff. They concentrate on the small amount of criminality that immigrants commit to. So that's all they focus on is the criminality. So they don't come out and say, look at all the filthy brown and black people, how dare they be in our country. They don't come out and flat out say it. They're sneakier. They're very, very sneaky the way in which they do it. They know they just can't come out and say a bunch of racist stuff. So they concentrate on criminality only. That's all they concentrate on. It's literally just criminality, 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 criminal, 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 criminal. They do this to prey on your emotions, to instill fear in society. So that's the way in which they demonize immigrants. Is there anything else I can go into? Because that is basically like the only trick that they have. They just concentrate on the criminality. And when it comes to the misinformation that they say, where oh, they're emptying their insane asylum, they're sending their criminals. That's not how immigration works. Immigration crises happen because of oppression and, you know, a lack of liberalism, a lack of a liberal society, and a lack of equal rights, and, you know, authoritarian and government overreach, you know, like extreme theocracies where not only do they have just a singular religion, but they also like don't have like LGBTQ rights. So they're not actually sending criminals. That's just the complete and utter lie and a fabrication, because that's just not how immigration works. So that's how they demonize immigrants. They concentrate on the criminality. That's all they focus on. And so that way then you think that all immigrants are basically criminals. And you might not think that, but that's basically the effect that they're trying to create in society. And they're doing it intentionally. When it's not the fault of, you know, the immigrants, it's the fault of the rich billionaires robbing you blind, and the corrupt politicians that only serve their rich owner donors. So I'm trying to think about other things that they do with immigration, because that is literally all they got, is just concentrate on criminality. And I wanted to say that this is definitely, this anti-immigration sentiment in society is definitely making people racist and bigoted, because I know 2 of my friends that are now openly using the N-word. And that's because that's all they hear from the right, that's how they portray immigrants on the right, is that they're all just a bunch of criminals. That they're all just a bunch of drug dealers and abusers, which is not true. A small fraction of any group ends up being like creeps, abusers, women abusers, and stuff like that. A small fraction of any group is like the negative, bigoted, hateful, you know, women hating. A small fraction of any group is actually the bad batch. The amount of bad people in any group is actually a small fraction of the entirety of the group. It's kind of what the right wing does when it comes to the left. They take some stories of some reactionary leftists being a little bit hyper emotional, and they basically portray the entirety of the left as that, when it's just a lie. Because the left is just basically anti-corruption politics. We expose, and they expose corruption. And that's the reason why the right wing attacks the left, progressivism, woke, is because they don't like people being educated and being taught about political corruption and propaganda and disinformation. You know, the left is just trying to, you know, improve society, trying to raise the wages, lower the cost of education. You know, having social programs that help the most vulnerable people in society. So don't fall for it when they pretend as if like those people that are just kind of like have good intentions, that are just maybe a bit overzealous. Don't let that make you think that the entirety of the left is like that. And all the left that I've been following for the last 5 years, they're not actually a part of like the educators and the medical professionals. You know, the left is just like teaching about equal rights, egalitarianism, and stuff like that. So, and you know, basically mainly exposing on like politics. You know, the left wing covers politics. You know, they don't tend to cover like in general news stories of who's been murdered in the last week. Like that's not something that the left really covers that much.